Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm still alive, I promise, and I'm coming to y'all with another knife review. Now, before I delve into this, I want to mention why I haven't done knife reviews in quite a while, and the answer is honestly very simple. Modern day knife designs from the last couple years have been very boring to me. I haven't really seen very many that I thought were cool, that I thought were interesting. Most of them I thought looked cheap and gimmicky. Even Kershaw, a company that I used to love, I haven't really put out a lot of designs that I've been digging lately. The last ones that came out of them that I liked were their Emerson designs, and those are a couple years old now, I believe. And I still have one of those to review, and I still plan to review it, but all the companies with these weird, funky, and gimmicky looking designs have been kind of putting me off lately, so I haven't really felt the urge to buy and invest in knives. Beyond that, I'm actually living with my wife now. You know, we're out of the house, and I have gotten married, for those of you who don't know. So I have bills to pay, I have rent to pay, I have utilities to pay, I have her car payment to help pay, phone payments. I have a lot more responsibilities now, and money is a little bit tighter. So I don't get to buy knives nearly as often as I'd like to. So, knife reviews have slowed down a little bit for that reason. And I know some of you might be saying, well, if you can afford to buy alcohol for those alcohol reviews, you can afford to buy knives. Yes, you're right. Whenever I had the money, I could use that money that I was spending on booze on alcohol, or on, that money I was using on alcohol on knives. But again, a lot of the knife designs haven't been very interesting or worth trying to me. The alcohol, on the other hand, was very interesting and very much worth trying to me, though I have slowed down a lot. So anyway, enough jabbering. Let's go ahead and get on with the review. This is the Timberline Model 6510 Caper. I really meant to get this review to y'all a lot sooner because I believe this knife is now discontinued, but I think you can still find them on Overstock on some knife sites, eBay, something like that. This was a gift to me from my friend Laura. She's been very nice. She sent me many knives over the years, and I've gotten quite a bit of use out of so many of them. This is a Gerber dime she sent me years and years ago, and I still carry and use this thing, as you can tell by the amount of wear on it. Before I jump into this, I want to say this review might be set up a little bit differently. I don't have no specific notes I want to go through like I used to. I'm just going to go ahead and give you my honest-to-God opinion on the knife from carrying and using it over the couple of years that I've owned it now. And the first thing I'm going to say is this knife is relatively small. It only has a 4-inch handle and a 3-inch blade, so if you're a individual with larger hands, it may be a bit too small for you. I have medium-sized hands, I wear a medium-sized glove, and it fits my hand pretty perfectly. Beyond that, with only a 3-inch blade, if you're looking for a tactical self-defense knife, this is not going to be it. This is not going to serve the purpose for you very well. Can you use it? Sure. If this is what you have on you, you can definitely defend yourself with it. It has an adequate tip if you needed to perform a thrust, and a good amount of belly if you wanted to perform a slash, but you don't have much blade to work with. This is first and foremost an everyday carry knife, something you'll carry with you to cut through cardboard, zip ties, food, and whatever else you have to deal with on your day-to-day life. Personally, I've used it quite a lot on cardboard and zip ties over various jobs that I've worked, and that D2 blade steel, if I can get that to focus in, come on. There we go, that D2 blade steel on here has done extremely well for me. It has held an edge remarkably well. It hasn't chipped like I was worried the D2 might when taking it against hard plastic zip ties. And it has sharpened up beautifully after it did dull. I'm talking, this thing went from being completely dull after months of use to hair-popping razor sharp in 5 minutes. And I put a lot of that on the hollow ground blade. I don't know about you, but I find that hollow ground blades are just easier to sharpen than flat ground blades and take a sharper edge than most flat ground blades do. Just my experience, could vary from person to person, but the steel on here is honestly very exciting. It was the first time I've ever used an everyday carry blade with D2, and with this being a Chinese-made knife, I didn't know how their D2 was going to hold up to heavy use. And it did remarkably well. I'm talking, this thing had better edge retention than any of the other knives in the $30 price range that I've ever owned and carried. Better than the Spydercos, better than the Kershaws, and from what I understand now, the Spydercos, like the Persistence and Tenacious, are no longer in that $30 price range. So yeah, great edge holding capability, ease of sharpening is fantastic. The hollow ground blade makes it an excellent slicer. It breezed through cardboard, it breezes through zip ties, it breezes through steak, and whatever else you may need to cut in your day-to-day life. Again, it's not a very large blade. It's not a woods blade. It's not a tactical blade. It's a carry blade, and the blade did very well in that aspect. You'll notice it has jimping both on the back spine and on the upper spine, and I'm assuming that it has to do for more control. If you're using this perhaps for skinning, you can get up there and get a good grip and you can really work with it. I haven't used this for skinning or for filleting fish. I tend to use more specialized knives in those categories. I have used my Morta 2000 quite a lot for filleting and skinning largemouth bass. But this could probably get the job done. It's just a little bit small, and I feel like you get too much gunk in that pivot point. Haven't done reviews in a while, can you guys tell? The deployment method is a kind of a weird thumb hole. It's not really a hole, just, I don't know. It's very small, and I feel like if you have larger thumbs, you're going to have a hard time getting in there. For me, with my smaller hands, it's relatively fine, but the edges inside the thumb hole are pretty sharp. And I have noticed they kind of catch my finger a little bit, and I've certainly torn some skin off the tip of my thumb doing so. And keep in mind, I'm a guitar player. I have calloused fingertips. Like, I could stab into my fingertip as I'm doing right now, and I don't feel anything. But this is tearing up my thumbs a little bit whenever I use the deployment hole. But it's what we got, it's what we use. I just felt like it was worth mentioning. It is a little bit small, and it's also very close to that handle. So you don't have a lot of room to really get in there and manipulate it. But it does deploy reasonably quick. The lockup is tight. I have just a hair of side-to-side play in this. I could adjust the pivot point and take that out. Up and down, solid as a rock. It is a liner lock design, so a lot of people may not be a big fan of that. They feel like liner locks are kind of weak. Personally, I've never had this fold on me during use, and I put it through some very, very heavy use. Handle is made out of G10. Pretty standard stuff by now. The traditional, China G10, kind of like the Spyderco Tenacious line. It's not amazing. It does just fine. Provides an adequate grip. I will say the handle, while it is relatively comfortable for light work, does kind of bite into your hand a little bit. It does kind of cause some hot spots when really working with the knife, specifically where that liner kind of pushes past the G10 and down here on this lanyard loop because of the thin metal. So it can bite into your hand just a little bit whenever you're working harder with the blade. However, other than that, it has kind of a weird swept design. Kind of curves out in some odd spots, but it does fit the hand really nicely as a result. Pocket clip is a two-way positionable tip-up carry only. Or sorry, yeah, tip-up carry only in the sense that your tip is going to be facing upwards from the pocket. I know some people have a worry that with tip-up blades, when they get a reach in their pocket and they get to stab themselves. The detent on this knife is super solid. I don't know if you can hear that. So it's not going to pop open on you in your pocket. You can reverse it to the left-hand side if you want to left-hand carry the blade, but I know that a lot of lefties are uncomfortable with liner locks, so keep that in mind. It may not be the best choice if you are a left-handed person. For anyone who carries, the weight is 2.9 ounces, so relatively light for a blade its size. Definitely lighter than, say, the Spyderco Persistence, which has noticeably more heft to it due to its full steel liners, whereas in this they're kind of hidden inside the G10. There you go, you can kind of see that. The liners are hidden inside of the G10 and they're not drilled out, so you could make the blade a bit lighter if you wanted to do so, but I don't think it's necessary in the first place. Mentioned the lanyard loop earlier. It is very large. You could easily fit your paracord through there for whatever kind of lanyard that you wanted to attach to it. I don't really use lanyards on my knives anymore. It feels just kind of gimmicky. If I'm carrying something like this, which no longer has a pocket clip on it, this is a San Remo 763, then yeah, a lanyard is fine. So I can reach in there and actually grab it out of my pocket. But if I have a clip, I find that I don't really need the lanyard loop unless it's a deep carry clip, which I despise, as I've mentioned in several previous videos. I don't really know what else to say about the blade. Again, it's kind of just a fairly straightforward review. It's an excellent slicer, reasonably comfortable in hand, though it does have some hot spots. The clip itself is kind of goofy in that it's extremely large. for a knife this size. You can kind of tell that they just had, they ordered a bunch of the same clip and decided to just use it on every model they had. It also doesn't fit the handle super well, if you can tell how it kind of just tapers off to the side. It doesn't pop off the handle, it's just, you can tell it wasn't designed for this specific knife. It's just what they had, so it's what they used. Price point on this was about 30 bucks whenever they were still in production, and for 30 bucks is an amazing deal. Honestly, this is, as far as blade steel, blade and edge retention goes, superior to any other $30 knife I've ever owned. It beats the Kershaws, it beats the Spydercos, it beats the San Renmus, it beats the Benchmade Red Class knives from way back when, if anyone remembers those. The D2 just does a better job than HCR 13MOV or AUS 8 does. It does an even better job than my older Cold Steel AK-47. This is an old AUS 8 model. I don't actually know if I've reviewed this. If I haven't, I might have to. But even Cold Steel's formerly famous AUS 8A does not hold an edge as well as that D2. So for 30 bucks, if you can still find it in that price range, it is a phenomenal deal of a work knife. And you don't have to feel too bad about thrashing it. Again, even though it is D2 and it's tempered relatively hard, I think it's 60 to 61, it never chipped on me, it never gave me any problems, and it always sharpened up beautifully. So if you're looking for a good, cheap thumper work knife, this is definitely going to do the job. If you're looking for a good, semi-lightweight, everyday carry blade, this will definitely do the job. And because it is a tip-up carry, you could probably put a zip tie through that thumb hole and kind of like poor man wave it out of the pocket. Could be fun. Never tried it, but I'm sure it would work. Has worked on all my other knives. Never mentioned the, didn't mention how good the jimping was on the blade, by the way. It's extremely grippy and bites into the thumb very well, both on the lower spine and the upper spine of the knife, so you can get a lot of good control without fear of slipping. Which, again, if you're out there skinning, it actually is something that will be very useful to you. Blood is slippery. As if anyone needed to be told that. I don't know where I would usually go from this point in the review. I guess I would mention competitive options. I showed up that Spyderco Persistence before. I would say they're in the kind of close price range now, but I think these Spydercos are pushing 40 to 45 now. Something ridiculous for a HCR 13MOV blade. But worth mentioning, beautiful full flat ground HCR 13MOV G10 handle, full steel liners, 4-way positionable clip, nice jimping. It's a solid knife. It's a staple knife. I'm sure everyone in the community has owned a Tenacious, Persistence, Ambitious, or Resilience by now. There's the Kershaw Oso Suite. You know, another kind of just generic older knife from years gone by. HCR 13MOV blade, also hollow ground, has a glass reinforced nylon handle, very ergonomic in the hand. Only a 2-way positionable clip on this one, so right hand carry only. So big downside to you lefties out there. Flipper deployment with a speed assist technology. It's in the, or at least it was. I'm completely out of date here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be in about the $25 price range. It may have gone up since then. Haven't really been super active in the community here lately, so I'm not really up to par on pricing. San Renmu 763, pretty sure these are still being made. Hollow ground blade as well, aluminum handle, knockoff axis lock. It did have a deep carry clip on it. I took it off because I hate those deep carry clips. It was starting to bend out anyways. I could have bent it back into shape, honestly, but I just despise those deep carry clips with a passion. But these are about, what, 10 bucks? And they get the job done extremely well. Handle's reasonably comfortable, though, again, those sharp aluminum edges definitely bite into you when working with it. But it's something I guess you could buy. I don't really have much else to show off in the way of competitive options. I'm not really buying a lot of knives these days, for a lot of the reasons I mentioned previously. However, if you're looking for a new everyday carry blade, and you like the design on this Timberline, definitely don't be afraid to pull the trigger on it. It's a fantastic work knife. As far as knife reviews to come, I mentioned the Cold Steel AK-47. If I haven't reviewed that, I will in the future at some point. Not going to promise when. And I do have one that I kind of want to review for you guys. This is an Anza. I don't remember the exact model number on it. It's just kind of a worker's carpenter type knife. Made out of an old file. Stag handles, beautiful leather sheath. If you ever own the Case Knives leather sheath, this is basically the same thing. This is an overpriced work knife. I'll say that right now. It is not worth the money that they charge for it, but it is still a pretty solid and decent knife. I don't think it's worth the $85 I keep seeing it for, but it's one I plan to review in the future. in the reviews to come. So look out for that. Yeah, this is an Anza something. I don't really remember the model number on it. It's been a while. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I can review that in the future as well. But that was my review of the Timberline 6510 Caper. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know, and I'll try to make some more knife reviews in the future if I can find more designs that I actually find appealing. I am sorry for the long hiatus. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I still have a passion for knives. I just don't have a passion for the current designs of most knives. So let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and I'll try to get more videos out to you whenever I can. For those of you who are interested in watching more than just knife content, I also do a channel for card games and whatnot. I am still a big card game buff, have been ever since I was a kid. You can check me out on that channel, Snow Covered Planeswalker on YouTube. And you can see some of the stuff I do with games like Magic and Dragon Ball. So, yeah, enough rambling. I will see you guys next time.